The mistake almost everyone makes: you've been setting your tire pressure wrong your entire life, and it's quietly destroying your tires, wasting fuel, and making your car handle worse than it should. That 32 PSI number everyone trusts, it's there to cover the manufacturer in a worst-case scenario. And if you keep treating it like a target instead of a minimum, you'll keep paying for tires long before you should. Why the door sticker exists. That number on your door jamb isn't telling you the best pressure for your tires. Manufacturers don't design that number for daily driving. They design it for liability protection. When engineers calculate that pressure, they don't picture your commute. They picture the worst-case scenario: a fully loaded vehicle, 5 adults, a packed trunk, sustained highway speeds, and a driver who never checks tire pressure at all. From there, they work backward. What is the lowest pressure that still prevents the tire from overheating, deforming, or failing under maximum load? That number, and only that number, makes it onto the sticker. And that's the key distinction. For everyday driving, your car is almost never anywhere near its maximum rated weight. Most of the time, it's hundreds of pounds lighter than the scenario the sticker was designed for. Yet drivers inflate their tires as if they're carrying that load every day. That mismatch matters, because tire pressure isn't just a safety number. It determines the tire's shape, stiffness, and how weight is distributed across the tread. When pressure is set for a fully loaded vehicle, but the load isn't there, the tire can't support itself the way it was engineered to. It flexes more than it should, the tread spreads unevenly, and stress concentrates in the wrong places. What actually destroys your tires? Running 32 pounds per square inch in a lightly loaded car doesn't just wear a tire faster, it changes how the tire physically behaves every time it rolls. At lower pressure, the sidewalls can't support the load efficiently. They flex inward under the vehicle's weight, then spring back out again, thousands of times per mile. That constant flexing does 3 things at once. First, the tire loses structural rigidity. Instead of staying round and stable, it subtly collapses at the bottom as it contacts the road. Second, the tread no longer meets the pavement evenly. The center of the tire lifts just enough that the outer shoulders carry a disproportionate amount of the load. Third, heat builds where that excess flex and friction live, along the edges. And heat is what accelerates tire wear. Not mileage, not speed, heat. This is why underinflation is so destructive even at normal driving speeds. You don't need to drive aggressively. You don't need potholes or bad roads. The tire is damaging itself internally every time it rolls. So every mile you drive at too low pressure quietly cooks the outer edges of the tire while the center remains relatively untouched. That's why this wear pattern is so deceptive. From the outside, the tire looks fine for a long time. The center tread depth still measures well. There's no vibration, no noise, no warning light. Then one day the shoulders are suddenly gone, and the tire is considered worn out even though half the tread is still there. That's when drivers hear the same explanations over and over: alignment issue. Cheap tires, bad roads. But alignment problems don't wear both outer edges evenly. Cheap tires don't selectively destroy only the shoulders, and roads don't grind rubber from the sides inward while leaving the center untouched. Pressure does, more specifically, pressure that's too low for the actual load the tire is carrying. And this is why even careful drivers get caught. They rotate on schedule, they keep alignments in spec, they check pressure regularly, but they're checking the wrong target. The tire is being inflated as if the vehicle is fully loaded while being driven nearly empty most of the time. So the damage doesn't show up as a dramatic failure. It shows up as slow, uneven wear that looks normal right up until the tire is done. Tires don't adapt, they don't compensate, they don't even out over time, they simply wear wherever the stress is highest. That's why 2 identical cars on the same roads with the same tires and alignments can have completely different tire life. Same vehicle, same maintenance, same driving habits, different pressure philosophy. The pressure that actually makes tires last. So if 32 pounds per square inch is a worst-case minimum, what pressure actually works for everyday driving? The answer isn't on your door sticker, it's on the tire itself. Every tire has a maximum pressure rating molded into the sidewall. You'll see something like max load 1,400 pounds at 51 PSI cold. That number is not a suggestion. It's a structural ceiling, the highest pressure the tire is engineered to safely handle under load. As long as you stay below that rating, the tire is operating within its design limits. Overinflated means exceeding what the tire can safely contain, not exceeding the manufacturer's minimum baseline. Think of it this way: manufacturers don't publish an ideal range. because that range depends on load, usage, and driving conditions. Things they can't control or legally assume, so they publish the minimum that keeps them covered. For normal, lightly loaded driving, running a tire right near the bottom of that window makes no mechanical sense. The tire can't support itself properly there. Tires are engineered to work best when the sidewalls are supported, not collapsed. That support comes from pressure. In real-world driving, that balance is usually found at 10 to 15% below the tire's maximum rating. For most passenger vehicles, that lands between 38 and 42 pounds per square inch. Yes, that's higher than what most people are used to, and no, it doesn't damage the tire. In fact, the opposite happens. At this pressure, the tire maintains its intended shape. The tread stays flat against the road. The load spreads evenly instead of concentrating at the edges. That even load distribution reduces heat buildup, which is the real enemy of tire life. A common concern is ride comfort, that higher pressure will make the car harsh or unstable. What actually happens is more nuanced. On rough pavement, the ride may feel slightly firmer. On smooth roads, most drivers barely notice a difference. What they do notice is sharper steering response, less sidewall slop, and a car that feels more planted during lane changes and braking. The pressure didn't make the tire hard, it made it structurally correct for the load it's carrying. That's why drivers who move out of the low 30s and into the high 30s consistently report the same results. Even tread wear, longer tire life, better control, nothing magical changed. The tire was simply allowed to operate in the range it was engineered for. What actually changes when pressure is correct? When tire pressure is corrected for how the car is actually driven, the improvements aren't subtle, and they aren't theoretical. They show up everywhere. First, tire wear. At proper pressure, the tire finally carries load the way it was designed to. The tread stays flat. Stress is distributed evenly. Heat stays under control. That's why tires rated for 60,000 miles suddenly stop dying at 20 or 30. Drivers who correct pressure early don't just squeeze out a little extra life. They often gain 10,000 to 20,000 additional miles from a set simply because the tire is no longer being abused at the edges. That alone can delay your next tire purchase by a year or more. Second, fuel economy. Underinflated tires create drag, not visible drag, mechanical drag. The engine has to overcome extra rolling resistance every second the car is moving. You press the throttle a little more. The engine works a little harder. Fuel disappears a little faster. When pressure is corrected, that resistance drops. The car rolls easier. Throttle input decreases. The engine spends less time working just to maintain speed. Even conservative corrections routinely improve fuel economy by 1 to 2 miles per gallon. That doesn't sound dramatic until you stretch it over time. Over 15,000 miles a year, that can mean hundreds of dollars staying in your pocket instead of being burned away unnoticed. Third, handling and stability. This is where most drivers feel the change immediately. Proper pressure stiffens the tire just enough to reduce sidewall flex. Steering inputs translate faster. The car feels tighter, more predictable, and less vague. During lane changes, the car settles quicker. In corners, it leans less. On the highway, it tracks straighter. Nothing else changed, no suspension work, no alignment tweaks, just air, and now the most overlooked benefit, braking performance. A properly supported tire maintains its contact patch under hard braking. An underinflated tire deforms, squirming and folding instead of gripping. That instability reduces braking efficiency, especially at higher speeds. Even a small loss of grip at 60 or 70 miles per hour can mean multiple car lengths before the vehicle comes to a stop. So the real payoff of correct pressure isn't just comfort or efficiency, it's tires that actually reach their rated lifespan, fuel costs that quietly drop month after month, a car that responds the way you expect it to, shorter, more stable stops when something goes wrong. All from fixing a number most drivers never question. And once you experience that difference, it becomes obvious why so many cars feel inefficient, vague, or unstable. Even when nothing is technically broken. They're not broken, they're under-supported. Critical caveats, so you don't do this wrong. Before you change anything, there are a few rules that actually matter, and ignoring them is how people get into trouble. First, always check tire pressure when the tires are cold. Driving heats the air inside the tire and hot air expands. Even a short drive can raise pressure by several pounds per square inch. That means checking pressure after driving doesn't tell you what the tire is actually set to. It tells you what it temporarily climbed to. The only accurate reading is taken before the car moves, ideally first thing in the morning. Anything else introduces guesswork. Second, never exceed the tire's maximum rated pressure. That number is molded into the sidewall because it represents the structural limit of the tire. Exceeding it, especially on a hot day, increases the risk of failure as pressure rises further with heat and speed. This isn't negotiable. The usable range is below the tire's maximum, not above it. Third, vehicle load changes the equation. Pressure that works perfectly for commuting may not be enough when the vehicle is carrying extra weight. Passengers, cargo, roof boxes, towing, all of it adds load, and load requires support. That's when pressure should move closer to the door sticker value, or slightly above it depending on conditions. This is the scenario the sticker was designed for. Not daily driving, maximum demand. Fourth, ambient temperature quietly works against you. For every 10-degree drop in outside temperature, tire pressure drops by about 1 PSI. That means tires set correctly in warm weather can be significantly underinflated weeks later without anyone touching them. This is why so many cars drive around all winter on soft tires without warning lights. Seasonal checks aren't optional, they're basic maintenance. And now the biggest misconception of all, the one that misleads millions of drivers. TPMS does not tell you when your tires are properly inflated. The warning light doesn't come on when pressure is a little low. It comes on when pressure drops roughly 25% below the manufacturer's recommendation. If the sticker says 32 pounds per square inch, the light may not illuminate until the tire is around 24 pounds per square inch. By that point, the tire has been undersupported for a long time. Uneven wear has already started. Heat has already built up. Fuel economy has already dropped. TPMS is an emergency alert system. It exists to warn you of a problem, not to prevent one. If you're waiting for that light, you're already late. The number on your door jamb was never meant to be a goal. It was a liability number. Your tires don't care what the sticker says. They care about load, pressure, temperature, and how you actually drive. Most people keep replacing tires early and blaming alignment, blaming brands, blaming bad luck, when the real problem was air the entire time. Now you know, and once you realize how much something this simple affects tire life, fuel economy, braking distance, and control, the next question becomes obvious. What else are drivers still doing by the book that's quietly costing them thousands? That's coming next. Subscribe to Carsplainer for honest car advice, hidden maintenance truths, and money-saving tips every driver should know.